Joining me now, Tulsi Gabbard, former Hawaii Congresswoman and former presidential candidate. Congresswoman, great to see you tonight. Now, January 6th was obviously a sad and horrific day. But my fear in all of this is that this talk of this forever threat, the enemy within, is just going to mean the government has more power and we have fewer rights and freedoms. Your thoughts?
It is an incredibly dangerous situation we are in with our country on edge. And this kind of broad inflammatory rhetoric is like throwing a match into the tinderbox. Now, what Speaker Pelosi is talking about here is potentially a very serious thing if there is evidence to back what she is saying. And her quote was, "We have members of Congress who want to bring guns on the floor and have threatened violence on other members of Congress," end of quote. Now, we're a country of laws, so if what she is saying is true and there is evidence to back it up, then this is a legal issue for law enforcement. When I was a member of Congress a few years ago, there was someone in the public who was making threats on my life repeatedly, saying that he would track me down and behead me. I reported it to law enforcement. They investigated the threats, found them to be credible, tracked the guy down, charged him, prosecuted him. He was found guilty and held accountable for that crime. What Nancy Pelosi is talking about here is a serious crime of terroristic threatening and, if true, should be reported to law enforcement because members of Congress are not above the law either. However, if there is...
Yeah, Congressman, my point is, isn't this also inciting, potentially inciting? I mean, if you think there's someone among the Republican caucus who's actively plotting the murder of Nancy Pelosi or other members of Congress, that could then bring violence upon those individuals, some of them we named in the angle. So that in and of itself is inflammatory and perhaps inciting.
Well, exactly. That's really the issue here. If this is a criminal threat, let law enforcement deal with it. If there is no evidence of what she is talking about, and if it's not true, then it is exactly that. It is inciting further division, further harm potentially, and further destroying the possibility of our country coming together. And this is why it's so important for Nancy Pelosi. Again, if these accusations are baseless, she needs to apologize, not really so much to her colleagues, but really to the American people who right now, more than ever, need leadership coming from the Speaker of the House, who represents all members of Congress and the American people, to bring us together, for her and President Biden to de-escalate these tensions, to turn down the temperature, to denounce those who are seeking to undermine our civil liberties and our constitutional rights and who are inflaming these tensions, to say, hey, we are all Americans. We're all Americans, and we need to come together.
Well, that would certainly be a nice thought, but it certainly looks like this is stage setting going on, Congresswoman. I mean, they're setting the stage for, okay, because of this threat, we need to either have aggressive gun control, we need to put a wall around the Capitol, we need to have more metal detectors in Washington. Washington has to be a state. I mean, whatever it is, it seems like this is a perfect way for them to, set that narrative and set it early to justify future encroachment on civil liberties. And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I share your same concern, because if that is the motivation behind this, then it is not a stretch of the imagination by any means to say that, well, if the party in charge can extend this kind of government overreach and using the military and intelligence agencies against people who are of the opposing party or who hold different views, then what's to say the next party who comes in and takes charge can't do the same? And that really leaves us with a banana republic, not a democracy. And that's the dangerous path that we see before us.
Yeah, this cynicism is even infecting some Republican lawmakers, too. Take a look.
Tell me what it's like being in a Capitol building surrounded by fencing, a war zone, not the battle part of the war zone, but like a green zone type area.
It was supposed to be inviting. It's supposed to be the people's house. And to have it be walled off because we can't trust that, frankly, the people won't try to overrun it.
Congressman, what happens when government officials, representatives, stop trusting their own constituents? Maybe they need to go into a different line of work.
Yeah, it's remembering who all of us who have served or who serve in elected positions, we're there to serve the people, to represent them, represent their voices, not be in a position where our government is now viewing the people, the public, as the opponent, people who may come and attack them, as the threat. This is such an incredibly dangerous thing. And again, it just undermines the foundation that our country was built upon, and why I continue to call for leadership. We need voices of strong leadership, not for one party or the other right now, but for
America.
America.
Yeah, for America. Congresswoman, wonderful to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.